We are live. Official test start time 2 minutes. 5 pages, 5 paragraphs each. 5 words each sentence, 5 sentences per paragraph. 5 computer spaces in between. 5 revisions. You can use your hyper-scientific. You can use any artificial intelligence. You can use any technology, but you must show the work and share it with the class. If you do not show the work, share it with the class, I'm going to assume all you did was use technology and you will get 0 credit for it. This is not a test. Give me one quick second. We have 2 recent additions. I'm going to show you the power of God. One moment could change your life or it could stay the same. The choice is yours. Whoa. 12-cylinder design, 6 turbos. I have a 10-cylinder design, 5 turbos. We'll show you the 12-cylinder design first. Oh, this is not. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong one. 12-cylinder design, Barcata, Spider, carbon fiber. 10-cylinder design, hardtop. This is for my college students right here. I don't have my engineering glasses, but here we go. All right. But we have a 8-cylinder design, 4 turbos. Best hot wheel designer on planet Earth. One quick second. If I was the owner, I wouldn't tell anybody. So if you think I'm the owner, don't tell anybody. All right, here we go. Productivity for the day. Gonna measure customer service. You had a 13 yesterday, 32 today. Improvement. What percentage? Use your hyper scientific. You guys can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm sort of a big deal over there. Beautiful aroma. Let's open the dealership. Let's see what we have available for right now. Lamborghinis is in. Radar Plex 7. Radar Plex 3. Online. Lamborghinis is in. I got 101 Lamborghinis for sale. Just a little over $1 million. You guys have 15 minutes. A48 deployment. 2014 Lamborghini Veneno just went up in price. $16.9 million my price. You can have it for 24. We only accept Bitcoin, door-to-door service. Hit me up on my neck, 504-202-5915, cyraxflex@gmail.com. You could put that on the line. Let's go 15 minutes on that one. I got a 2021 Lamborghini Sion Roadster, personal car, 415 miles. $5 million my price. I could do 12 overseas, door to door. Hit me up on my neck, 504-202-5915. I got a matching set. If you want them, you have to take both of them. 2022 Lamborghini Countach, orange, 240 miles, personal car, $3.5 million my price. Let's do $7.8 million. I have two of them. 2022 Lamborghini Countach, powder blue, white interior, gold wheels, bronze package, 207 miles, personal car. If you want them, you have to take both of them. If you want the Roadster, I got a 2020 Lamborghini Sion, orange, black top, black wheels, 641 miles, personal car, $3.2 million my price. I could do 16 million on that car. If you want the Roadster, you have to take that one. And I have a blue one in Dubai. If you're interested, name your own price. Lamborghini Essenza SC V12, 1 mile on it, $2 million my price. 14 million for you right now. 504-202-5915. cyraxflex@gmail.com. 1989 Lamborghini Countach, 25th anniversary. I have two of them. Personal vehicle, 697 miles. Give me 13 million. I have a 1989 Lamborghini Countach, 25th anniversary. Matches my car, but the wheels are different. Almost 3,000 miles. I want to put another 500 on it. So let's go 3,500 miles. $2 million my price. You can have it for 11 million. 504-202-5915. I have a few tradings too. I got program cars. If you're interested in a Revolto, I have some SVJs. You paid on time for the first 2-3 years. I can sell you anything else in my inventory. Powder blue, pastel blue, ultimate roadster, 5,000 miles. $1.4 million my price. I could do it for 2.6 million door to door. We only accept Bitcoin. 2001 Lamborghini Diablo VT, vicious traction, four-wheel drive, 27,000 miles. About $1 million my price. Make me an offer on that one. I have an orange one too, 26,000 miles, also 2001. Make me an offer, but you have to take both vehicles. 15 minutes. Put us on whatnot. Shout out to the V Friends. Shout out to VaynerMedia. Shout out to all of our business partners. BlackRock, Blackstone. Today's hashtag is dreams come true. The orange Lamborghini I was driving yesterday, that car has been sold. I sold that car in 1 day. That was breakfast. Go YouTube, go Bloomberg, go channel, go videos. And my wife was on the first show. There we go, baby. That's what I'm talking about. My wife is the best financial advisor we have. One of my wives. 27. Put it in closed captioning.
This is Asia Trade. I'm Shurian in Tokyo. I'm Heidi Stradwatts in Sydney. The top stories this hour. Asian stocks are set to follow a cautious advance on Wall Street. Traders looking past higher oil prices, even with the Iran war showing no sign of de-escalating. Treasury yields slip ahead of tomorrow's Fed decision. President Trump slams Japan, Korea and Australia as well as NATO for rejecting his appeals for help in the conflict. And Trump says he expects a postponed summit with China's Xi Jinping to happen in 5 or 6 weeks, with the Iran war looming as a point of tension. And Heidi, we are getting some more positive tailwinds coming from the Wall Street session, especially from some more positive commentary coming out of NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang about AI revenue topping $1 trillion, ramping up the manufacturing over in China. So we'll be watching in the Asia session a lot of those tech stocks, semiconductor AI-related names. We're already seeing the Nikkei futures pointing to the upside of 0.1%. Of course, there's a big day in Japan on Thursday with the Bank of Japan policy decision at a time when we also have Prime Minister Takaichi meeting with President Trump, and of course very much in focus any sort of support coming from Japan when it comes to reopening the Strait of Hormuz. We're seeing the Japanese yen holding at that 159 level against the US dollar. We had a very solid 20-year auction here in Japan, so do watch out for JGB's trading session today. We're also getting the unemployment figures out of South Korea, and we are seeing the labor market there tightening a little bit more than expected, the rate falling to 2.9%. Economists had expected 3% to stay in line with what we saw the previous month. We had seen that upside when it comes to Korean stocks because of the tech sector. You can see futures were pointing to the upside. The Korean won, though, in focus, very close to that 1,500 level. And do keep an eye on the Aussie dollar. Of course, we had the RBA, Heidi, hiking rates back to back on those inflation concerns because of the surge of oil. What was really interesting, I thought, was this sort of return of the haven demand for the dollar, right? That pullback, if you can call it that, really didn't last very long. But we're watching, of course, for the Fed, and that's going to have implications for treasuries. Perhaps not as big as the implication when it comes to oil, though. Taking a look at where we're trading at the moment in terms of pretty holding steady at the moment for New York traded crude in that last trading session. We are also seeing just some of those modest gains across US stocks as we continue to, of course, look for signals as to when and how this conflict might come to an end. President Trump, in the meantime, lashing out at allies who've rejected his appeals for military assistance in the war with Iran. He singled out Japan, Australia, and South Korea in a post on Truth Social, even while saying that the US doesn't need anyone's help. Trump is also stepping up his criticism of NATO.
So, I think NATO's making a very...
Tomorrow, investors set to focus
some kind go on. We had
with the latest, and let's take a look at the market implications. And it is, of course, looking ahead to that Fed decision, widely expected to hold rates tomorrow. Investors set to focus on Chair Jerome Powell's policy signals as energy prices soar. Bond traders have already scaled back some of their aggressive bets against Fed cuts. That's Premier Garfield Reynolds, who, of course, leads our Markets Live Asia coverage. And are we seeing this sort of second-order effect of monetary policy being trumped, if you will, by geopolitics?
Well, it's actually very difficult to work it out until we get some commentary from the Fed. Much of this war has occurred with the Fed in its quiet period leading into this meeting. So how they are going to adjust their outlook, what they're going to say, and in particular what Jerome Powell then says about what they're going to be watching and how they're going to respond. We had a similar sort of question coming out of yesterday's RBA meeting, where the RBA did hike as expected, but the fact that it was a tightly split decision and that the RBA governor was fairly measured in how
thank
she
you.
talked about
That's
things
what's
and was
faithful.
stressing
He had
in
your
her
forever,
case that
always on duty.
what they were doing
Thank you.
was about sort of the existing inflationary pressures and that they were watching both angles for the war. So if we get Jerome Powell saying a similar thing, it's like, well, we're worried about inflation, but we're also worried about growth. How markets jump on that is a very open question. It could be a much more volatile post-Fed market response that we've had for some time because we really are unsure about how the Fed's going to look at it and about how the market's going to respond to that.
TurboTax locations are now open in your neighborhood. So, hand off your taxes to an expert today.
And about how the market's going to respond to that.
Yeah, Goldman seems to think when it comes to yields, the risks are tilted toward the downside because of that concern over the growth picture, right? I mean, are we seeing recessionary risks pop out now, or how long does it take for oil prices to stay elevated to actually hit growth?
Well, you would think oil prices would need to not just stay where they are, but move significantly higher to severely dent the growth outlook. One of the things that has been bubbling along under the surface is that, the AI boom is still there. It's still rolling on. You've got lots of investment coming. You've got Jensen Huang talking about $1 trillion of AI chip sales. That's an important point to be remembering. And honestly, the economy, the global economy, as well as the US economy, bounced back remarkably well from the shock of the tariffs, which, by the way, is still working its way through the global economy. Now we've got this other shock. Is this going to be something that ultimately knocks the AI boom out of its comfort zone? Again, we need to know how long is the war going to last and what level of workaround are supply chains going to be able to come up with. The Russia-Ukraine war is the analog here. That's still going 4 years later, but the global supply systems have moved on from that. You can argue that the Gulf is a little bit more important than Russia for a lot of those supply chains, but all the same, will the global economy be able to ultimately cope with that shock?
I am curious as to whether Fed officials will be able to kind of regain control over the narrative for treasuries, because that's almost been purely trading alongside oil, right?
Yes.
Do you think that's likely to happen, or is that still going to?
A lot there does depend on, does oil remain stable? Over the next couple of weeks, if oil continues to just hang around this $100 a barrel, if we get this gradual easing, as it were, in the intensity of the war headlines at the very least, there's talk that Iran's missile launches have come right down. It's mostly about drones. You've got some ships trickling through that Iran is letting through from the Strait of Hormuz. So, and you've got less chatter from the US about extreme strikes. Israel, of course, keeps on killing people, but you've got what markets are regarding as a calmer setup. If that sustains and if oil remains where it is or eases down a little bit, then I think the Fed will become more to matter for treasuries. But if we get something that's an escalation which sends crude up noticeably back towards those highs that were reached at the beginning of last week, then treasuries would be ignoring what the Fed's saying and looking much more at what oil is telling them.
Guthrie Reynolds, who leads our Markets Live Asia coverage there as we look ahead to that Fed decision. In the meantime, we've got some corporate headlines, potentially moving a couple of the stocks trading in Sydney. We do have BHP naming Brendan Craig as its new Chief Executive Officer to lead the company's growth in copper and potash. He's replacing, of course, the outgoing CEO, Mark Henry, who had been in that position since the beginning of 2020. He takes that role takes effect from July 1st for Craig. They are targeting that expansion across potash fertilizers, copper, also trying to manage that slowdown in iron ore, contending with rising costs. And of course, we've seen a lot of headlines, mostly for the smaller miners, but the energy crunch here in Australia is starting to take some effect as well. We're also watching Woodside Energy. This, of course, has been one of the stocks that really benefited from the energy price surge and the oil energy security concerns as well. This is Australia's biggest gas producer. They've also appointed a new CEO, Liz Westcott, to replace Meg O'Neill, who went over to BP, of course, last year. And Heidi, coming up on the Asia Trail as well, analysis on Trump's Iran war strategy as he blasts allies for not getting on board. Plus, Invesco explains why they see improving global growth favoring cyclical assets. We have much more ahead. This is Bloomberg.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, and I'm the CEO of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you joining us at our next webinar where you can drill deeper into our bond offering. We currently offer two investment opportunities: a private placement bond offering for accredited investors with target annual interest rates between 9 and 13%. Also, we offer a registered bond offering open to both accredited and non-accredited investors with rates ranging from 9 to 12%. Our daily production rates have risen as high as 39,000 barrels of oil per day. We've sold more than 10 million barrels, and we're just getting started. Sign up for the webinar and start your journey with Phoenix Energy today.
Japan says the U.S. has not made a specific demand to send ships. This follows media reports that Tokyo has started to explore the possibility ahead of Prime Minister Takaichi's summit this week with President Trump. Let's bring in Bloomberg Politics editor Laura Davidson. That summit will be tough for Prime Minister Takaichi.
Yes, she's going into a situation where we've seen Trump get angrier and angrier over this week as allies have really rebuffed his calls to come help the U.S. He's, made several sort of demands and then reversed them, calling for countries to send ships to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. Almost nobody took him up on that offer, and then a couple days later comes out and says, "Never mind, I don't need your help anyway." This is it kind of really put him in a spot where he kind of feels very isolated in this moment.
And this is very tough for Takaichi, who comes from a country with a pacifist constitution, right? What are the implications for Japan, and is there any other thing that Japan could do to help appease President Trump at this point?
The other big thing that's on the table is purchase of U.S. oil. This goes into sort of Trump's broader, desire here to have U.S. commodities, U.S. agriculture goods be purchased by other countries. So this is kind of another way that she can sort of extend an olive branch. And of course, that speaks to this current moment here where, oil prices are incredibly high and there's a lot of kind of, sort of day by day almost consternation figuring out, okay, where is this next batch of oil going to come from?
Yeah, Laura, and we continue to see pump prices rising as well, right? We talk about this almost every day, but I do wonder, even if voters don't care about foreign policy, typically are they starting to care about how it's feeding through to what their summer plans look like, what the cost of living situation is?
Yeah, this is really the week that a lot of schools in the U.S. start going on spring break, so you start to see travel, and then of course ahead of the summer travel season. So this is something where people are looking at gasoline pricing. Airlines are talking about these fuel surcharges. So they'll start to see that show up in higher airfares. Gasoline prices in the U.S. are about $3.79 a gallon across the country on average. That's a significantly higher. For years they've been, in some cases as low, in the $2 range or the low $3. So this is a significant increase. This is one of the things that voters see every single day. It's on big signs as they're driving around, even more so than, there's been lots of worries about the price of meat or the price of eggs. Gas is one of those things that's just at the top of everybody's worry list, and they can point to when they are citing their concerns about the economy.
This significantly weakens President Trump's position as he heads into also that summit with President Xi Jinping, which was already delayed.
Yes, this is sort of an acknowledgement here of just how much the war in Iran has really sort of undercut and scrambled Trump's both foreign policy and domestic policy. He had been talking about the summit almost for a year that he was going to do in April. Now he said it's going to be 5 or 6 weeks from now. They have not yet set a date, so that would put it somewhere potentially in early May. But the Chinese side was actually quite happy to delay this. Trump sort of went out and said, okay, we're going to delay this, but the Chinese side doesn't particularly want to meet with Trump while this war is ongoing, because that sends sort of a broader signal globally. But also, they were worried that there wasn't enough time to get some of these deals done. Trump wants to keep this very focused on economic deals, but the China side also wants to focus on more diplomatic issues, things like Taiwan and other kind of broader concerns.
Buenos días, líder, ¿cómo estamos? Me estoy comunicando porque voy en camino. Yo tengo que hacer varias llamadas, varias reuniones. Yo me voy a mantener en comunicación en lo que yo voy a hacer esas cosas. Entonces, nada, yo lo llamo en un rato, que estoy dando una clase de ingeniería ahora mismo y tengo un par de cositas más que tengo que hacer, pero voy a activar el equipo completo básicamente para que podamos hacer todo bien. Dios los bendiga. Hay muchas personas muy grandes que ya saben que venimos en camino, así que Dios los bendiga. Ya la va. Top of the morning, Mr. Josh. We're feeling the Judge right now. Should be in the sky in a few minutes. So I will keep you posted, and we'll have a meeting within the next few hours. I'm going to hit Rami up right now. Top of the morning. I'm going to be in the skies in a few minutes, so I'll let you know. I'll hit you up on Starlink. Galavai. Bendición, tía, Dios la bendiga. Voy en camino, yo me voy a mantener en comunicación desde que esté en las nubes. Le estamos echando gasolina a los aviones ahora mismo. Top of the morning, Mr. Vaynerchuk. I'm going to keep you posted. I'll be in the skies in a few minutes. I'll hit you up on Starlink. Galavai. Vamos en camino, loco. Yo te voy a tirar de que toque la nube y pues ya la vaya. Dios lo bendiga. Voy en camino, nos vemos en varias horas. Yo me voy a mantener en comunicación, que Dios lo bendiga. Ya lo vaya. Buenos días, mi amor. Tenemos una reunión en varios minutos. Yo te voy a mantener al tanto de todo, ¿ok? Estoy en la nube en varios minutos, quizá un par de horas. Ya la vaya. Buenos días, Saidi. Le puedes dejar saber a la iglesia que los millones van en camino, ¿ok? La queremos demasiado. Dios la bendiga. Ya la vaya. Buenos días, mi reina. Preparen las celebraciones que voy en camino. Nos vemos en varias horas. La queremos demasiado, ya la van. Bendición, tía. Dreams come true. I need you to rebuild the block. I got a 13 Gallardo. I want to put 5 turbos on it. I want to put a sequential setup and an individual exhaust for each one. Holla back. I got a yellow one too, but I give you dibs on the silver one if you give me dibs on the GTR, all right? And bring it all back to factory specs. I don't want no modifications on it, but keep the same paint job. Do not change the paint. Leave it for me, just like that. All right, let's go Future Tech Plus, baby. Check the markets. You guys ready? Let's get this party started. Let's see who has 5 pages of notes. Let's see who's paying attention to class. Let's rock and roll. Mastercard to buy stablecoin firm BVNK for up to 1.8 billion. Home run, ladies and gentlemen. Home run. Grand slam. Mastercard to buy stablecoin firm BVNK for up to $1.8 billion. Mastercard Incorporated said on Tuesday it had entered into a definitive agreement to acquire London-based stablecoin company BVNK for up to $1.8 billion, including $300 million in contingent payments. This acquisition is aimed at expanding Mastercard's global payment network and creating interoperability between fiat currencies and stablecoins, the company said in a press release. The transaction is expected to close by the end of the year and is subject to regulatory review. We expect that most financial institutions and fintechs will in time provide digital currency services, be it with stablecoins or tokenized deposits. We want to support them and your customers with the best-in-class, highly compliant, interoperable offering that brings the benefits of tokenized money to the real world. Mastercard Chief Product Officer John Lambert commented. PayPal makes stablecoin available in 70 countries. That is another home run, ladies and gentlemen. That is another home run. Today is a very special day. PayPal makes stablecoin available in 70 countries. PayPal Holdings Incorporated will make stablecoins available to customers in 70 countries. The company's vice president, May Zabata, told Fortune on Tuesday. Now, we're really opening up not only access, especially in places where the need is most, but also cross-border transfers for volume, where the pain is felt so high, Zabata underscored. Sending and receiving BYUSD was previously possible only in the United States and the United Kingdom. Now it will cover multiple territories where PayPal operates, including countries in South America, Africa, and Asia. MicroStrategy buys 22,337 Bitcoin for $1.6 billion. MicroStrategy Incorporated, doing business as Strategy, acquired 22,337 Bitcoin for $1.6 billion in the week between March 9th and March 15th. Today's the 18th, ladies and gentlemen. According to the company's Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) filing released on Monday. According to the filing, the company bought Bitcoin at an average price of approximately $70,194 per Bitcoin, which includes fees and expenses. It used proceeds from a public offering of 2,833,668 shares of its MSTR stock and 11,818,467 shares of its STRC stock. After the latest purchase, Strategy's total amount of Bitcoin reached 761,968. It was acquired at an aggregate price of approximately $57.6 billion, or roughly $75,696 per Bitcoin. The company's stock rose by 4.44% during pre-market trade and went for $145.87 apiece at 8:18 a.m. Eastern Time, following the filing's release. Bitcoin, Ethereum jumped 5%. Bitcoin and Ethereum increased 5% on Monday after United States President Donald Trump said the Iran war was pretty much over. Crypto markets had been under pressure as the war drove investors toward traditional havens and pushed food prices sharply higher. However, Trump told CBS senior White House correspondent Raja Zion that the United States is very far ahead of its initial estimated timeframe of 4 to 5 weeks. At 3:29 p.m. Eastern Time, Bitcoin rose 4.9% to 69,249, while Ethereum increased 5.5% to 2,044 at the same time. Now, this is as of the ninth, so that's the recap. So, we are top news. Let's go tech news. Samsung AMD partner on AI memory and computing. Samsung Electronics Corporation Limited announced on Wednesday that it signed a strategic partnership agreement with Advanced Micro Devices Incorporated AMD to collaborate on artificial memory and computing technology. Under the new deal, the two companies will coordinate on supplying HBM4 for AMD's AI accelerator, the Instinct MI455X GPU, along with advanced DRAM dynamic random access memory for 6th generation EPYC processors, codenamed Venice. They will also collaborate on DDR5 memory, optimized for the 6th gen AMD EPYC CPUs, as well as on data center workloads. From industry-leading HBM4 and next-generation memory architecture to cutting-edge foundry and advanced packaging, Samsung is uniquely positioned to deliver unrivaled turnkey capabilities that support AMD's evolving AI roadmap. Samsung CEO John Hyun-joo said. Microsoft set to challenge OpenAI Amazon deal. Microsoft Corporation is considering legal action against Amazon.com Incorporated and OpenAI Group (BBC) over a $50 million partnership that could undermine its exclusive hosting rights. The Financial Times reported, citing people familiar with the matter. The dispute focuses on whether Amazon's cloud platform, Amazon's Web Services (AWS), can run OpenAI's new product, Frontier, without breaching a contract that requires all access to the startup's models through Microsoft's Azure platform. Microsoft executives told the outlet the approach would violate the spirit of the agreement, while OpenAI reportedly maintained its deal with Amazon complied with existing terms. We know our contract. We will sue them if they breach it. One of the people familiar with Microsoft's position told the news agency. Behind the scenes, lawyers for the companies argued for weeks over how Amazon's agreement should be defined according to the report. OpenAI set to IPO in late 2026. OpenAI is gearing up for an initial public offering (IPO) by the end of the year, CNBC reported on Tuesday. According to the outlet, the firm's CEO of applications, Fiji Simo, held an all-hands meeting with employees in which she stated that the company was dedicated to supporting businesses and was orienting aggressively toward high productivity use cases. The Wall Street Journal previously reported that the startup's IPO was to happen as early as this year's fourth quarter. The precise time is still subject to change. Following a $110 billion investment round last month, OpenAI boasted a $730 billion pre-money valuation, a significant increase from its $500 billion valuation in a secondary financing in October.
I think, act, and feel like a billionaire. Every day I attract opportunities that align with my billionaire vision. I create value that impacts millions.
Huawei and Nvidia may restart making H200 chips for China. NVIDIA Corporation Chief Executive Officer CEO Jensen Huang claimed on Tuesday that the company is in the process of restarting our manufacturing of H200 chips, the company's flagship processor for artificial intelligence, AI for China. Speaking at a press conference after the company's GPU Technology Conference, GTC, Huang hinted at a change in NVIDIA's operation in China and insisted he has received licenses for many customers from the Far Eastern country. He also insisted that NVIDIA has already received purchase orders from Chinese companies. Huang's remarks follow the United States Department of Commerce apparent decision to withdraw a draft rule that would have required chip makers to seek government approval before exporting their AI chips abroad. OpenAI GPT 5.4 Mini now available in ChatGPT. OpenAI Incorporated announced on Tuesday that GPT 5.4 Mini and Nano, the new version of its lighter, more affordable small model, are now available in ChatGPT, Coding Agent Codex, and the API. According to OpenAI's statement, GPT 5.4 Mini has enhanced capabilities in coding, reasoning, multimodal understanding, and tool use. The company added that the tool now operates more than twice as fast as its previous iteration. On GPT 5.4 Nano, OpenAI recommended it for fast and less costly processes such as classification, data extraction, ranking, and coding sub-agents that handle simpler supporting tasks. Apple's Cook dismisses retirement rumors. Apple's CEO Tim Cook told Good Morning America on Monday that retirement rumors were unfounded following mounting speculation about his future at the company. No, I didn't say that. I haven't said that. I love what I do deeply. 28 years ago, I walked into Apple, and I've loved every day of it since. He responded when asked about reports that he was getting ready to retire. I can't imagine life without Apple. Cook's remarks follow reports from several publications, including the New York Times, that he was considering several internal candidates to succeed him should he decide to step aside. The Financial Times also asserted that the tech giant's board and senior executives reportedly stepped up Cook's succession planning in late 2025, with an announcement expected in early 2026. Microsoft set to organize co-pilot teams. Microsoft Corporation has decided to merge the teams working on two versions of its artificial intelligence AI-powered chatbot Copilot to increase efficiency and clarity for users and become more competitive with rivals, the Wall Street Journal WSJ reported on Tuesday. According to a memo, Chief Executive Satya Nadella sent to staff and which the outlet later saw, Microsoft will combine the teams working on Microsoft 365 Copilot, a more enterprise-driven version of the chatbot, and Copilot, created for personal use, into one. Reportedly, the head of product and growth of Microsoft AI, Jacob Andrew, will become Executive Vice President of Copilot and oversee design, product growth, and engineering. Microsoft AI Chief Executive Mustafa Suleyman will be tasked with developing proprietary AI tools and the so-called superintelligence. A group led by Brian Orlansky, who worked for LinkedIn and then was Microsoft's executive vice president, will be in charge of Microsoft 365. And OpenAI is set to sell AI to the United States government through through Amazon Web Services. OpenAI signed an agreement with Amazon Web Services to sell its artificial intelligence services to the United States government employees, the information reported on Tuesday, citing two people familiar with the agreement. While OpenAI already made a deal with the Pentagon after the government severed ties with its previous AI provider, Anthropic, AWS has reportedly agreed to sell OpenAI's products to other United States government customers that already use AWS cloud services, with the two companies sharing revenue. OpenAI's collaboration with AWS was made possible after its restructuring last fall, with Microsoft allowing it to work with rival cloud providers. But the ad company will still reportedly need a waiver from Microsoft to work with civilian agencies with unclassified work, such as the United States Department of Health and Human Services. However, it does not need a waiver for civilian agencies with classified work, such as the United States Department or the U.S. State Department independent. Qualcomm approves $20 billion stock buyback. Shout out to you, Qualcomm. Qualcomm Incorporated announced on Tuesday that its board approved a $20 billion share repurchase program with no set expiration dates. The company noted that it still has around $2.1 billion left from its previous buyback, which was unveiled in November 2024. The board also authorized an increase in the quarterly dividend from 89 to 0.92 per share of common stock, increasing the yearly dividend payout to 3.68 per share. The quarterly increase will be effective for payouts after March 26. While we continue to extend our technology and product leadership across verticals, we remain focused on stockholder returns and executing on our ongoing diversification opportunities while maintaining operating discipline. CEO Cristiano Amon said Qualcomm shares jumped 3.38% in pre-market trade after the announcement. Google DTE Energy to build data center in the United States. Google announced on Tuesday that it is partnering with DTE Energy Corporation to develop a data center in Michigan through its new $10 million Energy Impact Fund. The project will add 2.7 gigawatts of resources for the grid. Including solar power, as well as enhance Michigan's grid reliability. The tech giant said. Google said that it will fully cover the data center's electricity costs and infrastructure needs and work with local communities. It said it will commit to using water responsibly, ensuring every cooling decision is driven by data to minimize the environmental footprint. SEC set to propose ending quarterly reports. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission is preparing a proposal to eliminate the requirement for public companies to report earnings quarterly. and give them the option to report results twice a year. The proposal could be published as soon as next month, according to people familiar with the matter cited by the Wall Street Journal. Regulators have also been speaking with major exchanges about how their rules may need to change. Once published, the proposal will be subject to a public comment period before the SEC votes on it, and there is no guarantee it will be adopted. The push for semi-annual reporting gained momentum late last year. Supporters say a lighter reporting burden could make public markets more attractive to companies, while opponents are likely to argue that investors rely on frequent disclosures and transparency. Huang predicts NVIDIA's 2027 revenue to hit $1 trillion. NVIDIA Corporation Chief Executive Officer CEO Jensen Huang predicted on Monday that the company's revenue in the fiscal year 2027 will surpass $1 trillion. Speaking at NVIDIA's GPU Technology Conference (GTC) in San Jose, California, Huang explained that he based his forecast on growing demand for computing, as well as for the company's artificial intelligence (AI) chips. He added that in computing, 60% of the company's business came from hyperscalers and 40% from other operations. NVIDIA's full-year review in its fiscal year 2027, which concluded recently, reached $215.9 billion, rising by 65% compared to the previous 12-month period.
I surround myself with other high-level achievers who elevate my mindset.
Dow surges 400 points as oil prices fears ease. Stock futures in the United States extended gains on Monday, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average futures jumping more than 400 points after U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said he expects oil prices to drop too much lower than $80 per barrel in a few months. Additionally, a media report published over the weekend suggested that the United States administration could unveil its plan to escort vessels through the Strait of Hormuz and secure oil supply as soon as this week. The Dow Jones rose by 0.94%, or 439 basis points, at 8:14 a.m. Eastern Time. At the same time, the Nasdaq 100 climbed 1.39%, and the S&P 500 advanced by 1.15%. The euro gained 0.58% against the dollar to sell for 1.14825 at 8:24 a.m. Eastern Time.
I trust my intuition to guide me toward greater financial abundance.
Baja United States 500 in the Red Ranger, 0.20%, 6,696.61. Baja US 30 in the Red Ranger, 0.35%, 46,832.92. Baja US Tech 100 for my students that's on the test. In the red, Royal Flush, 0.25%, 24,726.06. Whoever has 5 pages of notes divided by Bitcoin, divided by silver and gold, and divided by copper 3M. As of the 16th, Bessent, oil to drop much lower than $80 in months. United States Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent predicted on Monday that oil prices will decrease too much lower than $80 per barrel in a few months. He estimated that the current oil deficit due to reduced shipping via the Strait of Hormuz is between 10 and 14 million barrels per day. However, he noted that the strait is not completely closed and that some Iranian, Indian, and Chinese tankers are coming through as a part of a natural opening by the Iranian regime. Speaking to CNBC, Besson commented on United States President Donald Trump's visit to China, scheduled from March 31st to April 2nd. He said that it is still unclear whether the trip will be postponed and that any potential delays would not be related to the Strait of Hormuz. His statement contradicted Trump, who hinted on Sunday that he could delay the visit if China does not help the United States secure the strait. Michael B. Jordan, Jesse Buckley win Best Acting Oscars. Michael B. Jordan and Jesse Buckley took home the coveted Best Acting Oscars at the 98th Academy Awards for their respective performances in Sinners and Hamlet. First-time nominee Jordan claimed the top honor for his portrayal of Smoke and Stack, a set of identical twins in Ryan Coogler's horror film, which takes place in the 1930s Mississippi. I stand here because of the people that came before me. Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, Jamie Foxx, Forrest Whitaker, Will Smith, Jordan said during his acceptance speech. As for Buckley, the second-time nominee became the first Irish actress to win the prize, thanks to her portrayal of William Shakespeare's wife, Agnes, in Chloe Zhao's drama. It's Mother's Day in the United Kingdom today, so I would like to dedicate this to the beautiful chaos of a mother's heart, she said.
I attract more talented people who help me achieve my vision. I trust my intuition to guide me towards greater financial abundance. I'm destined to live a life of extraordinary wealth, luxury, and freedom. I think, act, and feel like a billionaire.
Okay. Here we go. Rent up 4.5% on reports of strikes in Iran's oil sites. Crude oil prices turned to gains on Wednesday, with Brent futures rising by more than 4.5% as traders digested the latest reports from the Iranian media, which claimed that the country's Assaluya refinery and South Pars, Iran's portion of the world's largest gas field, came under attack earlier today, with several phases being hit and removed from the surface at both sides. Brentford deliveries in May jumped by 4.68% to 108.51 per barrel at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, while West Texas Intermediate WTI for April settlements increased by 1.75% and went for 97.89 per barrel at 8:57 a.m. Eastern Time. IRGC issues evacuation notice for Gulf energy sites. Iran's Islamic Revolution Guard Corporation issued on Wednesday an evacuation notice for several oil facilities in Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, UAE, and Qatar. The IRGC listed Samuras Refinery and Jubail Petrochemical Complex in Saudi Arabia, Masid Petrochemical Complex, and Masid Holding Company, together with Ras Laffan Refinery in Qatar, as well as AI host gas fields in the UAE, declaring that the energy sites now qualify as legitimate targets. Therefore, all citizens, residents, and employees are asked to leave these areas immediately and move to a safe distance without any delay. It was stated in the notice after Iran's media reported the natural gas and oil facilities at South Pars were targeted. Diploma up 18% on upgraded FY26 guidance.
I am always in the right place at the right time for success.
Shares of the London-based Diploma plc, a company supplying specialized technical products and services, surged nearly 18% on Wednesday, following a significant upgrade to its full year 2026 guidance. With a market capitalization of 7.92 euros billion, the firm reported that trading remains very strong through the first half. Diploma upgraded its outlook now, expecting organic revenue growth of 9%, up from the previous forecast of 6%. It also increased its operating margin forecast to approximately 25%, up from around 22.5%.
I think, act, and feel like a millionaire.
The company stated this represents a roughly 13% upgrade to consensus operating profit and anticipates another year of sustainable quality compounding, with earnings growth over 20%. Diploma shares soared 17.50% to sell at 59.1 apiece at 1:40 p.m. Central Eastern Time.
My wealth flows effortlessly from multiple streams of
Gold
income.
down 2.5%, silver down 2%.
I confidently
Precious
make
metals
decisions
traded
that
lower
build my
on
financial
Wednesday
empire.
as markets evaluated the impact of the Middle East crisis
For wealth, success,
on
and prosperity.
commodities. Investors also awaited the Federal Reserve's interest rate decision later today, along with fresh economic
I
projections,
invest wisely.
which could indicate monetary tightening if the energy crisis pushes inflation up.
I live in a constant state of abundance and gratitude. My network of influential people brings powerful opportunities into my life.
Gold lost 2.52%
Financially free.
at 8:43 a.m. Eastern Time, going for 4,876.32 per ounce, while silver fell by 2.04% and went for 77.74 per ounce. Platinum plunged 3.86% at 3:45 a.m. Eastern Time to go for 2,051.36 per ounce, and palladium dropped 3.76% and sold for 1,537.79 per ounce.
I surround myself with other high-level achievers.
Tomorrow takes over as Disney CEO.
I am the architect of my financial
The
destiny.
Walt Disney Company saw former Disney Experiences chairman Josh D'Amaro assume the role of chief executive officer on Wednesday, succeeding Bob Iger. The transition took effect at the company's annual shareholder meeting. The leadership change comes amid a broader reshuffle, including Thomas Mazzarino taking over Disney parks as the company continues to focus on growth in theme parks and streaming. Yamaro was appointed in February, with the board citing his inspiring leadership and innovation and keen eye for strategic growth opportunities. Iger will remain a senior advisor and board member until December the 31st. European Union proposes new single set of corporate rules. The European Commission unveiled on Wednesday its new single set of corporate rules called EU Incorporated to make it easier for businesses to operate in the European Union. The framework includes simplified procedures, including for starting and liquidating a business, fully digital corporate processes, better conditions to attract investment, and the ability to incorporate in any EU member states, among others. The proposal will be considered by the European Council and Parliament, aiming for an agreement by the end of 2026. With EU Incorporated, we are making it drastically easier to start and grow a business all across Europe. Any entrepreneur will be able to create a company within 48 hours from anywhere in the European Union and fully online. This crucial step is just the beginning. Our goal is clear. One Europe, one market by 2028. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said, or der Leyen.
My network of influential people brings powerful opportunities into my life.
Macy's Q4 net sales down 1.7% to $7.6 billion. Macy's Incorporated revealed on Wednesday that its net sales in the fourth quarter of fiscal 2025 landed at $7.6 billion, declining by 1.7% compared to the same period a year prior. However, the figure came in above analyst expectations. The company's net income in the reported quarter reached $507 million, up from $342 million reported last year, while its diluted earnings per share came in at 1.84, up from EPS of 1.21 in the closing quarter of 2026. Full-year net sales decreased by 2.4% to $21.8 billion. Net income grew to $642 million, while full-year diluted EPS reached 2.32, both up from last year's respective figures. The department store chain said it expects its full year 2026 net sales to stand between $21.4 billion and $21.65 billion, while its 2026 adjusted EPS are projected to range between 1.90 and 2.10. Macy's shares surged 7.98% in the pre-market trading following the release of the report. So you're in your top-of-the-line sports car, your hypercar, you're stuck at 190. Active Aero adjusts. Now you're doing 210 miles an hour. What is the difference by percentage?
I'm destined to live a life of extraordinary wealth, luxury, and freedom. I think, act, and feel like a billionaire. Every day I attract opportunities that align with my billionaire vision. I create value that impacts millions. My mind is attuned to the frequency of wealth and success. I am worthy of limitless wealth and abundance. My wealth flows effortlessly from multiple streams of income. I confidently make decisions that
United States mortgage applications down 10.9%. Mortgage applications in the United States observed a weekly trend of 10.9%. In the week ending March 13th, the Mortgage Bankers Association (MBA) weekly mortgage application survey published on Wednesday showed. The report showed that the average contract interest rate for 30-year fixed-rate mortgages increased to 6.30% from 6.19% a week prior. The seasonally adjusted purchase index climbed by 1% compared to the week before, 172.9, while the refinance index dropped by 18% from the previous week to stand at 1,341. Mortgage rates continue to move higher, driven by increasing treasury yields as the conflict in the Middle East kept oil prices elevated, along with the risk of a broader inflationary shock. Mortgage rates increased across the board. MBA's Vice President and Deputy Chief Economist Joe Kahn commented,
My actions today guarantee a wealthy and abundant tomorrow. I surround myself with other high-level achievers who elevate my
Germany
mindset.
sells $2.5 billion in dual 30-year bond auctions.
I am the architect of my financial
The German
destiny.
finance agency, Finanzentor, announced on Wednesday that it raised a total of $2.5 billion through two 30-year federal bond auctions.
I manifest
In the primary offering, the agency auctioned $1.5 billion, maturing on August 15, 2056, at an average yield of 3.45%. The bid to cover ratio stood at 1.7, with overall bids reaching $1.9 billion, $890 million, of which came from competitive bids and $1.07 billion from non-competitive bids. In the secondary offering, the agency raised $1 billion in bonds maturing on August 15, 2046, at an average yield of 3.36%. The bid to cover ratio stood at 2.5, supported by overall bids from 1.8 billion, 691 million euros from competitive bids, and 1.2 billion euros from non-competitive bids. Following the release of the auction results, the yield on the German 30-year bond declined by 2.8 basis points to 3.449 at 12:10 p.m. Central Time. General Electric Aerospace to hire 1,000 workers in Europe. GE Aerospace announced on Wednesday that it plans to invest. Are you ready? GE Aerospace to hire 1,000 workers in Europe. GE Aerospace announced on Wednesday that it plans to invest over $110 million in its European plans, including hiring more than 1,000 workers across Europe this year. The plans include Poland, Czechia, the United Kingdom, and Romania, while the biggest investment, 77 million euros, will be made in Italy, Italia. In addition, GE Aerospace said it will invest around 40 million euros in its units, repair and overhaul, MRO, and component repair facilities in Europe this year, as part of a wider $1 billion package first unveiled in 2024. It will also provide grants to vocational schools in the United Kingdom, and Italy will expand its next engineers program in Poland, hoping to reach over 4,000 students in 2026. I got like 4 million students. Formula One cancels Bahrain South Arabia Grand Prix amid war. Formula One announced that the Bahrain and Saudi Arabia Grand Prix events planned to take place in April will not be held due to the ongoing clashes in the Middle East. While this was a difficult decision to take, it is unfortunate the right wing at this stage considering the current situation in the Middle East. I want to take this opportunity to thank the FIA as well as our accredited promoters for their support and total understanding as they were looking forward to hosting us with their usual energy and passion. We cannot wait to be back with them as soon as the circumstances allow us to do so. Formula One President and CEO Stefano Domenicali said, both Bahrain and Saudi Arabia have been targeted by missile and drone attacks after the beginning of the joint United States and Israeli strikes on Iran on February the 28th. France said to want Lebanon to recognize Israel. France has proposed a plan to end the Israel-Lebanon war that would require the Lebanese government to formally recognize the State of Israel for the first time, Axios reported on Saturday, citing three sources familiar with the matter. The plan is under review by the United States and Israel, while Lebanon has accepted the proposal as a basis for talks. According to the sources, the draft aims to end the hostilities along the northern border, establish long-term security arrangements, and prevent an Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon, while increasing international pressure to disarm Hezbollah. The proposal requires the Lebanese armed forces to redeploy south of the Litani River, while Israel will withdraw from regions taken since the start of the current conflict within a month, according to the sources. The outlet added that the parties would agree to use the United States-led monitoring mechanism to address ceasefire violations and imminent threats. We're going to close it out with this. Check this out. Trump administration may get $10 billion from TikTok United States investors. United States President Donald Trump's administration is about to receive approximately $10 billion from investors involved in the country's division of TikTok. The Wall Street Journal, WSJ, reported on Friday. According to people familiar with the matter, the fee was part of the agreement between the administration and investors granted the right to take over TikTok's operations in the United States. The investors, which include Oracle Corporation, private equity firm, Silver Lake Technology Management, LLC, and the Abu Dhabi government, owned MGX Fund Management Limited, previously agreed to form a new entity to run TikTok United States per Trump's request.
Things like that, Taiwan, other broader concerns. Bloomberg Politics editor Laura Davidson there. Let's take a look at some of the top global headlines that we're following. The EU will restart ratification of its US trade deal with a parliamentary vote on Thursday ahead of final approval by member states. The bloc has repeatedly stalled ratification, citing US threats to seize Greenland and uncertainty after the Supreme Court ruling on tariffs. The progress comes despite the US opening fresh investigations into EU trade that could produce additional tariffs. A senior U.S. defense official has told Bloomberg that the Pentagon is working to develop alternatives to Anthropic's AI tools. It follows the Trump administration's decision to declare the company a supply chain risk in a feud over safeguards governing military use of the technology. The Pentagon's chief digital and AI officer says it will take more than a month to start transitioning away from Anthropic. More ahead on the Asia trade, this is Bloomberg.
has named Brendan Craig as its next CEO, taking over from July 1st from Mike Henry. Meanwhile, Woodside Energy has confirmed Liz Westcott as its new chief. Our Bloomberg Metals and Mining reporter Paul Alan Hunt joins us now from Melbourne with more. Lots of changes at the top. Let's start off with BHP and why this particular CEO to come has been chosen.
Yeah, so Brendan Craig is a 25-year veteran of BHP. He's been there, most recently he's been the head of the Americas business, which has really been the growth engine for BHP. So we're talking about its massive copper business, where it's been expanding production, as well as potash, which is a new commodity that the company wants to enter. But Brendan, like I said, has been a veteran of BHP. He's been around for a very long time, and he used to run the other really core business for BHP, which is iron ore, of course. So under his management, when he was looking after the iron ore portfolio in Western Australia, we really saw a bit of a step change. There was a lot of operational excellence that BHP managed to achieve in that period of time while he was there. So those are two things that really stood him in good stead. I mean, last 6 months we saw copper become or rival BHP into rival iron ore in terms of BHP's earnings. So we can really see that the board had confidence in appointing him to take over from Mike Henry, who's really steered the company into a new leg of growth.
So, Paul, Craig at BHP, but also Liz Westcott at Woodside. What are these two CEOs inheriting at this point?
That's a really good question because, when CEOs often take the reins, they inherit a company that, might have challenges or problems. But in both of these cases, both of the companies that they inherit are really well set up. They've got a lot of optionality, a lot of growth, organic growth opportunities. So for BHP, it's expanding into copper. It's got this massive project called Vicuna. It's about to enter production at its new potash mine, and it's expanding in iron ore. And the company has been performing incredibly well, on a share price level. It's churning a really decent profit. And I think the same could be said for Woodside. It has a lot of optionality. They're bringing on the Scarborough LNG project in Australia fairly shortly. They've also got a massive LNG project in Louisiana in the US. So Liz Westcott is inheriting another company that has growth and that has a future.
Oh, do we know how much, if at all, the energy shortage or concerns are starting to perhaps affect some of these miners in Australia?
At this stage, there hasn't been too much to show. I mean, BHP hasn't made any announcements, and from what I hear, it's performing okay. It's the smaller miners that we generally worry about in Australia, your small gold miners, that sort of stuff, because they only carry, say, a couple of weeks, maybe even just a week's worth of diesel. And of course, diesel keeps these mines running. So it's a good question, but at this point, we're not seeing anything too dire. Yesterday, we did hear that a mining contractor had to pull a lot of staff off one particular gold mine, but that gold mine is still running, but it might have a reduced rate. So we're not really seeing the fuel shortage hit the mining sector just yet, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen soon. We have heard of small service stations, petrol stations out in the outback running out of fuel. I think that's going to be something that we really have to watch over the coming week.
Bloomberg Metals and Mining reporter Paul Alan Hunt there in Melbourne. More ahead on the Asia trade. This is Bloomberg.
We are not a party to the conflict, so France will never participate in operations to free or reopen the Strait of Hormuz in the current context. However, once the situation gets calmer, and intentionally, this term is broad enough, meaning once the core of the bombing has ceased, then we are ready with other nations to take on other responsibilities, such as an escort system.
French President Emmanuel Macron there. Well, Donald Trump has stepped up his criticism of NATO allies as well as Japan, Australia and South Korea for ruling out joining military operations against Iran. Our next guest sees the war with Iran as entering its final chapter. Fred Feist is the Vice Chair of American Security at the America First Policy Institute. He was also previously Chief of Staff at the National Security Council during the first Trump administration. Fred, great to have you with us. And how's the war going? Because you say that this is entering the final chapter. Do we really know that? Because so far the strategic goals, overarching as they may be, have been still quite undetermined.
Well, the goals are to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon and destroying Iran's missile program. And those goals have been achieved. A related goal is not regime change, but weakening the regime so the Iranian people can take back their country. And I think the mark of a good leader is to recognize that when you've achieved your goals, it's time to declare victory and take the win. And I think President Trump will do that within about 2 weeks.
President Trump has talked about regime change, right? He's also talking about putting boots on the ground, about a set of
So they come and they put that foundation in and they bolt it all together. He was back and he's cheap. He'll save money any way he can. And the piece of ground that he had is really fun. I mean, really fun. He's got I think 330. It's big. Right? So he's going back down. He's back down. He puts it up against there and the first so now he's freaking out. He's right out of his mind to fix it. So he dug it all, he dug it all back out, had the company customer. It's cheap, I got $3,000. It wasn't even doing it stone and dirt. No, I'm going back to the rocks that I dug out. That makes sense. Yeah.
I see one of the guys set up a big water on that nice spot. I started up the rest. Got to lay down. Bridges here.
Get outside. Yeah.
Before I got there, somebody walked by and looked over. Just about then, brand new Jeep. Right in, right there. We had water line right in the hood. And that guy said, I walked in this.
I just think they had a full of ice and water on the roof when we cut the technical away from it. Rolled down the roof. Now it hit a car, but it scuffed the head pretty hard. That's all it did, just scuffed the head. And so I was able to sand that out and buff it and get it back to where it looked like it should. But I mean that could have cost me a couple $100 easily. Yeah.
Of course, it's a special paint color, you know, the paint has the metal plate sticking out. What was in a yeah, you're doing enough for that.
I was working on one of my items. I didn't have a ladder. So I put the ladder up to a porch roof, and I got up on the porch roof, and I lifted the ladder up and put the ladder on the porch roof. On the second floor, I got up to the gutter, and it slid out from under me. Right? So
we're in the one day. I'm on my way. I'm gonna clean everything. I'm gonna gather my tools, and I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna write you tonight, and I'm gonna send you a thing on Cash App. I willing out first. I'm gonna go handle a few things. I think I may have another baby on the way, so I'm gonna go check that out, and I will keep you posted in real time. Let me see what I'm able to do in the next few days. But yesterday the situation it just got out of hand, and I didn't realize till the end of the day till I went in there. I took pictures and I took video. Everything was just, I don't know if you even looked in it, but it's just horrible. So I'm just gonna clean it. I'm gonna pray. I feel like that area has been tainted. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just gonna put everything nice, the way that I found everything, and just gather my things, and then I'll be able to write you by tonight. So I'm gonna try to do everything as fast as I can. Aaron has to give me like $20. I'm gonna use that for the bus if he has it. If not, then I'll ask somebody else. And that's it. I spoke to my family, and I'm gonna see what I can do. But I'm gonna keep you posted in real time. So yeah, basically that's it. So yeah, God willing, God first. We'll see. I have a few meetings. Hopefully, God willing, God first. There's some type of a breakthrough because something good has to come from these situations. So we're gonna keep praying. That's it. So we're gonna keep praying, and God's timing is perfect, and I believe in the process. And that's it. Everything happens for a reason. For me, that was like a sign of like, you know what? It's time to move forward. It's time to do things in a different way. And it was very heartbreaking. I didn't really think about it as much, but as time went passing, I fell asleep, woke up, and then I went to see it again, and I was like, damn, let me compose myself, and then I, gather everything there, and just take it from there. So, either way, we're gonna pray. So don't worry, everything's gonna be good. Let's just give everything a few days, few weeks, see how things develop, and we'll just take everything a day at a time. God is with us, and God has a plan. So this shouldn't be discouragement. This should just be inspiration and motivation. That God has a plan. So that you're low indeed. And I'll be there in a few minutes.